The right answer. To the problem of the left, what the right needs is a right answer to the left. The left is the problem. The right is the answer to the left. We, as the right, are the solution to the left, but only so far as we are the right. The more right we go, the further from the left we get, and the more right we become. This is why the left hates and fears the far right. The far right represents the total solution to the left. But we must not fall into the trap of allowing the left to define what is right, let alone what it means to be so far right that the right eliminates the left. The first thing we need to realize, this is a battle between good and evil. If we are not on the right, fully and unconditionally, we are on the left. There is not negotiating a settlement with the left. There is no compromise, no common ground. The right and left are as divided as east and west. Any compromise or negotiation is a win for the left. Good cannot be made better by adopting any of the ideas, programs or value of the left. Good will always be made evil by evil. But evil will not be made good by embracing and therefore, contaminating what is good. Good is sterile or it is no longer good. The left says we share the world, we must compromise. The left says diversity is good. Evil and good can, with some mutual adjustment and goodwill, get along. If evil makes a compromise with good, it makes good into evil and loses nothing. If good makes a compromise with evil, it becomes evil and loses everything. There is therefore a need to divide from the world. In this sense, not only must good divide from evil, good, as encapsulated in the idea of church, needs to divide from the state. But we need a vehicle in which to do this. The world offers democracy and political parties as a way to express one's preferences. This appears very fair. Evil is nothing if not always ready to make compromises and enter into negotiations. Good and evil set up competing political parties, and whichever parties wins the election is the one that sets the tone of the country. If evil wins, then it borrows money and runs up debt. It makes all kinds of evil permissible and causes irreversible damage to be done to our children and institutions. Evil gives freedom to all kinds of depravity and puts limits on any accountability. We can save money if we choose and go to church, but the state allows inflation to eat away our savings and secularism to take over any public space, including governmental institutions and educational establishments. But we have agreed to the idea of democracy and a winner-take-all political system. So, the Church of God compromises with evil to demonstrate our tolerance and goodwill. The church is now an institution regulated by the state. It sold out for a tax break. What is worse, a meeting hall is an emasculated church. Once we have had our hours meeting, what options are available to Christians? We can do no more than a secularist can. We leave the church and patronize the businesses of the left. Come Monday we go to work at the businesses of the left. And every now and then we get to vote in our favorite party, but it does not matter because they all work within the institutions and legal restraints erected by the left. This system is Babylonian, and the legal system is a Babylonian derivative of the laws of Hammurabi. That being said, we need to understand the technology of separation. We need to understand what Babylon represents. Babylon epitomizes evil. But what is evil? We know that what God created is good. Therefore, the destruction of what God created can be assumed to be what the Bible refers to as evil. But we know from physics we cannot destroy the substance of the universe. There is a reason for this which will be explained at another place. All humans can do is transform what exists, and so the two options are, transformations that have value and transformations that create expenses, or a loss of value. Building a boat adds value to the assets of Earth, burning it removes value and causes an expense. By why ought that to matter in an objective sense? Liberals basically claim it does not. What matters is the impact of the action, and so if it negatively impacts white male Christians it is of a lesser offense than if it impacts a minority. The degree of the seriousness relates to the way the intersectional scale is set up. If, as Christians say, justice ought to be blind, there ought to be a way to quantify harm. This would then serve as the foundation of the right answer. To get to this we have to postulate the existence of God. This might be considered a groundless choice, no better than the postulate that God does not exist. This has been the position of atheists since the beginning. They want to argue that there is no grounds for preferring one option over the other, but if forced, it is better to go with the absence of God as this permits us to choose our own path and set of values. That is true, but if we do this then we necessitate the implementation of the state, as we need a lawgiver to mediate disputes. This is a social cost. But what is not understood is that anarchy in the form liberals envision it, means there will be social costs. No matter what we do, without God, costs will be transferred from the maker to the taker. There will be parasites, and to control this devil-take-all anarchy, a state will be established. This will be the strongest, most ruthless gang who, over time, we become institutionalized as the state. Its orders will be formalized into laws, and these will govern the nation. Rejecting God will result in the existence of social costs, which are defined as costs created by a parasitic agent imposed on a person who created value. You may be okay with that, but it still destroys value and hinders the creation of value, so this is an objective difference between postulating the existence of God and failing to do this, or making a God from a set of laws that see the God as the lawgiver. These idols simply envision the state as a God, but this changes little or nothing. God does not create costs. God has no social costs. But the question is, how do we translate this truth into a way to separate church from state, which means we separate as Christians from the cost and legal apparatus of the state? In simple terms, what we are seeking to do is cease paying social costs. We want to stop paying the costs of the state, its agencies and agents and parasitic allies. This is collectively the liberal left. One solution designed to fit in with the Western expression of liberalism is to create a not-for-profit charitable institution with a mission to support Christian institutions as an outreach of apologetics. The operation of Christian institutions helps justify and explain theology. Shop franchise that serves a Christian conservative clientele. A portion of all proceeds go to fundamentalist Christian organizations and conservative political parties. 100% of all money spent by the far left and liberal patrons will be donated to pro-life causes. My rights do not hire, personnel are elected as members of the corporation. Preference given to those who are active in the mission of the corporation. My rights sells common shares to people on the right who are involved in promoting Christianity and conservatism. The program can be set up in two ways: the selling of bonds or charitable donations. Both are enabled with a debt for equity swap. Assets donated are matched with an equal number at par of preferred shares. The person who provides $100 of value receives a deposit of 100 preferred shares to their account. Members agree to abide by the Bible, as our Constitution, including complying with the Bible's method of applying justice and achieving accountability, when an intraorganizational dispute occurs. The process is described in Matthew 18:15-20.